Hey, what's up, everyone? I wanted to make a video and run you through end-to-end type safety in Nuxt alongside this blog post that I wrote a few weeks ago. End-to-end type safety, it's arguably the reason, the best reason to run TypeScript on the server as well as the client. And, obviously JavaScript on the server and the client. Um, and I'm going to show you why. So we're going to just start with a brand new Nuxt application. So I'm going to open up iTerm. I'm going to run npx nuxi latest init, and I'm going to call this Nuxt end-to-end. End-to-end type safety. I'll see you when it's done installing. And once that's done installing, let's go ahead and, let's see, save. So once that's done installing, we'll just open it up in our favorite code editor. And let's just get the dev server running. Okay, great. I'm going to take you through two routes of end-to-end type safety. One is the native route, like how it's built into the framework. And then the second route is actually going to be my preferred way of doing it, using a library from Anthony Fu, who's one of the maintainers of Nuxt, but he also creates amazing packages or libraries that we can use within the Nuxt and Vue ecosystem, really the entire ecosystem. Um, but I want to take you through the native implementation first, just so you have a kind of understanding of why we end up using Anthony Fu's library. So let's just start with let's go ahead and start. We'll do an API, and let's just say user.get.ts. So this is just going to be a very simple example of a Nuxt server endpoint. We'll say his name is Fu. And then to consume this on the client side, we'll just go ahead and create our script. Setup main ts. And we're going to consume that endpoint that we just did. So we'll call it data is equal to await use fetch. And so here we get some autocomplete, which is nice. I'm not sure why I get two options, but it is what it is. I believe they're both the same. So that's nice. And if I hover over data, let me just use it so I get rid of that error. If I hover over it, you see how it's implicitly typing as a global this.ref name of string. That's great. That means, or null. So if we were gonna do name, it like our IADE should pick that up and kind of auto. But you can check against that name field. But how does this type change if we explicitly type this? So let's go ahead and give it a type of user. Now we'll do interface user, and we'll say name is string. And then what we can do is explicitly type how the server wants to return. Okay, so we're able to then set the expected type like so. This is the same as saying as user. So whichever syntax you prefer. So I'll just place that up there. And so what I would expect from this is instead of seeing the explicit typing that we were before, I would expect to see a user here. But you see it's still typing it as the fields inside. So if I were to change name, or let's say age, let's go say 30. We should say age. See, we see age in there as well. But what we don't see is user, um, which I find a little confusing. The only way I was able to get user onto the client side is explicitly type it. And so one way you could do that is let's just say like specs, let's call it types.ts. Oops, types.ts. And we can put our user in here, export it, and then that allows me to import on both client and server. And so we can also import the type here on the client. And now this keeps them in sync. So if I were to say, or sorry, so you can see it's both expecting the same user type. And this is great. I actually like this a lot. One thing I dislike about this is I can create my own type here, and we'll say name is string. Oops, interface. And we'll say name is string, and let's say full name is string, age is number. So you can add all of these things, and because I'm explicitly typing it on the client, it's expecting this user type, not the user that's defined on the server. And so that's kind of the key weakness with this approach. If I could avoid having to type it on the client, I think this would be perfect. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm not super sure. But if you do know of if I'm missing something here, please let me know in the comments. I would love to know. So the next solution that I found for this problem, um, let's see here, comes from this library, Nuxt server function. So I'm going to explain how to implement it and how to bring it into our project to solve that problem we were just looking at. So we'll just install that. Yeah, we'll do npm I dev dependency. Cool. Now that I have it installed, I'm going to go to my config and we'll just do modules, Nuxt server function. Okay, now we should have access to it. So one of the key differences with this approach that you have to be aware of is I believe it has like a certain syntax that it requires. And so all of these functions that we use on the server to work with on the front end it has to be in this directory. And I could be wrong here, but that's been what I found in so far. So what I do is I create this foo function, or if I really wanted, I could call it the same. But for now, I'll just do foo. And we'll do an export function. Let's do the same thing, actually. We're going to return, we'll do get user, user.get.ts. So we're going to create a new function called get user, and we're going to just return the same thing, right? So here in user, we'll get to the typing in a second. And then on the client, to consume it, we have this thing called use server function that's being provided by the Nuxt server function package. And let's go ahead and destructure our function. So that would be get user. And so this is being defined from the Nuxt server function library. And then get user is from this server function's user. So we have a get user. Let's just say const user response is equal to await get user. Now, what is the typing here? It is the JavaScript object or the TypeScript object without the ref involved. Okay, so that's nice. Um, but let's explore it a little further. So let's bring back that user type. And so we can define the user import. And now we should see yep, this user from here. And then let's see, what is the typing now? Now it's easier. So if we click into this type, um, or yeah, that is one issue, is kind of the clickability isn't so great, but whatever. Um, and so yeah, here's the difference. So this was the like native API route solution, whereas this was the server functions solution. I personally think this is a little bit more elegant than using this define event handler. Just having it in an individual function like this that can be used regardless of the framework is very valuable. And then, of course, we also get the user type. Um, yeah, I think that's about it. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you're able to learn something, and see you in the next one.